Skadoosh ASMR heavy. Hey, it's me, your breastbird with the ASMR. Good. Today we're doing a little, as you can tell, it's from the title, obviously. You're going to be talking about the Premier League. Premier League. Premier League. Premier League. The Premier League. Just a little bit of a chit-chat about how the team, a little preview for this season, 25-26. Because there's a lot of interesting things going on this year, I think. Questions-wise, a lot of things have happened here, there, and there. Here, there, everywhere, or this, that, the other. And I just thought I'll put my 2 pence in. Because why not? Why not put my 2 pence in? Is it more valuable than anybody else's? No. Is it less valuable? No. Opinions are opinions. And, I thought this might make for an interesting little ramble type video. And, maybe a bonus little, a bonus tapping on the trophy, man. Well, that's not ours now. Congrats to Liverpool, but, obvious who I support, yeah. Season ticket holder and all that, yeah. Season ticket holder and all that, so don't call me all casual plastic and that. Yes, I am, but I also go, so thanks for that, yeah. Thanks for that. Anyway, doesn't matter. Also, let's just drop all the little kid games at the door, yeah. Banter aside and that, because that's funny, but there's just no point hating other teams. I used to do that when I was younger, but that's just, it's not worth it. It's not worth your time. You just ruin your whole weekend. Just let the team, if they lose, ruin your weekend. Don't let other teams influence your weekend, or your midweek as well, but mostly your weekend. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you would agree or not, but yeah, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's one thing I've learned over 27, 8 years of football, it's not worth it. Just get over that, yeah. Just worry about your own team, and even then when they lose, you've got to find a way to compartmentalize, because that'll eat you up. It'll eat you up pretty fast. So anyway, back to reality. If you have got a request before we get into this, if you've got any requests or anything for any video type or of any kind, no matter how crazy, as long as it's not too crazy. Not too crazy. I'll probably give it a go. So just drop it in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to give it a go. Just for you. Anyway, so yes, let's get into a little bit of chit chat about the Premier League. Yeah, I really think it's going to be an interesting season. To be fair, I think there's a lot of questions. I think there's a lot more going on than people actually maybe realise. Time will tell. As always, time will tell on that one. Time will definitely tell as to whether that's the case or not. But I just thought, I'm not really on for table predictions because it's so unpredictable. You're always there'll be somewhat regular patterns. Like there's almost a definite chance that the teams that have come up are probably going to be struggling to stay up, because that's just the way that it's gone in the recent years. The gulf is so much bigger than before. Before you could come up and you could make for example, when Sheffield United came up the first time, they had a different kind of way of playing, and that helped with their 3-back system, where one of the full-backs at different times would go forward and stuff, and it was a bit different to what a lot of other teams were playing. And so they didn't really need, they still have Billy Sharp and all that, yeah, but they didn't really need lots of big signings that kind of seen them through to stay up for that period of time that they did before they went back down. But yeah, those kind of things aren't really the same anymore, because otherwise, I'm pretty sure. Look for another example, when Swansea first came up, this season actually, it was this season, I'm pretty sure, 2011-12. When they came up the first time, they was playing tiki-taka types, Welsh tiki-taka Swansea ball, yeah. Even before they saw Mitchell and that, and he had that banging season, bowler season, yeah. One of those Premier League streets where forget type seasons. They had a different way of playing. They played that way, and that they didn't always win, but they got enough results playing that way that was so much different. It was hard for teams to basically, most teams play very similar now, and that's Pep's fault to a degree. But also, it's not Pep's fault, because managers shouldn't be imitating if they can't actually replicate. They should come up with their own thing. Think for yourself. Just because he can make it work doesn't mean you're going to make it work. If that makes sense. So I see a lot of people bashing Pep, saying, "Oh, Pep's ruined football, and Pep has these kind of wingers and that wingers." It's all wrong. It's not the case. Look, even on the winger debate, look at any winger that's actually played for Pep: Mahrez, Leroy Sané, etc., etc. They have all said he's the one that gives you freedom. Once that's the way he's always played. Even if you go back to Thierry Henry, Jeremy, I can't do the little. That's so funny when he does that. And he's like, put his hand on Jamie Carragher's leg and that. What no. Anyway, yeah. So even back to Thierry Henry, when he first played in Pep's Barca system, and he's always had glow. I don't remember too much of that. It was a long time ago now, but I don't think he even did as well as he probably wanted to do. Yeah, Thierry Henry. I don't think he did as well as he wanted to in that system. But even he's got glowing reviews of Pep. So that's what you need to know. Because he gives you, the way Pep's always worked is, it's very structural. It's fluid in the way that you pass and move and keep the ball. But once you get to the final third, it's complete freedom. Once you get into that, that's up to you. Then that's his goal. Keep the other team pushed back as far as you can. Keep the ball. And once you actually manoeuvre the ball into the final third, that's up to you. The players have got complete freedom then. That's why they stay wide up until usually they got chalk on their boots and all that, chalk on the boots. The wingers until they get to the final third. That's the whole point. Just stretch the pitch, all that. There's a lot. Like I say, like the fact that I am a bit gutted that Jack Grealish has gone to Everton, but it is what it is. So these things happen. Things don't always work out as best you could. And I'm not going to stand for any of the slandering that I see on Jack Grealish here. I'm not going to stand for it. Because actually, the party, just because he's, their numbers and that. No, football's became a sort of metric-based thing these days, but it's not about that. It's the eye test. And like I say, unless you're watching that team week in, week out, one, you can't really have much of a say on it, because you're not seeing what's actually happening every single game. Just for example, like, if you just see the stats, you're not going to see the amount of times I've seen Jack Grealish live with my own eyes make a recovery run 60, 70 yards, and that probably stopped a goal. It's these little things like that all add up across the season. But there's players, like, I think Savinho gets a lot of stick for that for us last season, for not making recovery runs, maybe even Doku as well. Whereas Jack was always doing that. Anytime, he would bust his lungs to make sure he got back and made that interception. The amount of times I've seen him do that. Those are those little intangible things that, like I say, you don't really see him in the main metrics of goals and assists. And also, how many times do you play that pass before the pass? That doesn't covered either. But David Silva was so good at those passes. He also got assists, but the pass before the pass to make the actual chance be coming to life before the chance became the chance. Those are probably actually more important sometimes than the pass, because that's sometimes the pass that gets played through to make it a cutback, which is to make it a sweaty goal. If you know, just people, members of the audience of a certain vintage, sweaty goal back to the JJ Olatunji back in the day, KSI in there, sweaty goal. But to make those cutbacks and those tap-ins, a lot of the time you need that actual super incisive pass. One that jumped straight into our mind is 2017 against Stoke. Kevin De Bruyne played this unbelievable reverse pass through to Leroy Sané, and then I'm pretty sure he cut it back for a tap into Sterling. But those kind of passes, they're actually sometimes the most important part of the play, but they don't get rewarded with any stat metric, and that's why actually I feel like we need to go, like Ronaldinho, yeah, I bet he was one of watching him play, unbelievable, magic, and he did get decent-ish numbers, but by the standard of today, it'd be like, oh, he's mid, and all this kind of stuff. No. Football's about how it makes you feel. This is basically the point of what I'm saying. Football's about how it makes you feel. And that's sometimes one of the only things sometimes you're going to get that in person. That's why I love going, Every home game. I try and go away, but it's wild hard to get tickets, despite the country and what you might think. I will say this though, there's a lot of banter about our fan base and that, but we have actually got a pretty decent fan base. I'm in it, so I know. Unless you're in it, you can't say for yourself, can you? And if you've been, then that's cool. Then you can have your opinion, but it doesn't mean that your opinion is right and my opinion is right. As I always say, there's two sides to every story, and of course, there's going to be natural bias. But other than that, like I say, the thing that's important is how it makes you feel in the moment. And as time's gone on, I can't really. It's not the same. It's nowhere near. It was the way when I first started going, like, I don't know how long I've been going now, but ever since I've been an adult, basically, I've been going. My mum wrapped me up in cotton wool since I was an adult, so I couldn't really do a lot. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point. Besides the point. Besides the point. That's besides the point. But yeah, outside of that, like I say, it's how it makes you feel, and as increasingly over time, I found, especially watching other games, I can still like enjoy it for what it is, but doesn't really, the feeling that I get, it's just not the same unless you're there. And like I say, I don't know if you can, I don't know if it's something you even, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to quantify. Basically, it's another one of those intangibles. Intangibles. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get into a bit of chat, a little bit of maca chat, about the season. Yeah, we'll just do it alphabetical. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. But before I do that, like I say, I don't really think too much about saying, oh, this is where I think this team will finish, because like that's what I was saying, wasn't it? Yeah, so teams, that's not really a thing anymore. Those, like I say, those teams that have just come up, they're probably going to struggle. Although Sunderland have been making some good moves, and we'll get into that. Like, interesting moves, but who did that a few years ago? Oh, was it Forest did it? But they just about made it work. They're the last team that kind of did that. They spunded out, squonked a load of money on a load of players, and it took them, what, I think, was it nearly half the season to get it all kind of working, and obviously it worked really well last season under Nuno, but that'd be interesting as well. That's like, these are those kind of questions. I don't think they'll do that next season. I can't see it. The amount of good fortune that went their way, because especially if you watch it, I didn't watch all of their games, but the amount of the games I did watch, the amount of times, for example, that Forest were super fortunate with how things played out. Whether, because low block will count here, because they had unbelievable players to count, and they had Chris Wood who was finishing everything pretty much. It felt like, anyway, I don't actually know the numbers on that, but it felt like any time he touched the ball, it was going in. And those are the kind of things, when a striker gets that kind of streak, you just can't quantify for it. You can't legislate for that kind of stuff. Even like the best ones, Salah, Haaland, they miss. I'm pretty sure like a good conversion rate is like 30-ish%, 30, literally 30. It's just terrible, isn't it? 1 and 3. Like I say, if you look at their actual numbers, that's usually a good conversion rate. So that'd be interesting. I could look it up, but I don't know where to look it up. I bet you Chris Woods must have been over 50% though. The amount of, because like I said, they didn't get a lot of chances, Forest. But anyway, they were the last team that kind of did that. So Sunderland, maybe it'll work for them. And we'll get into them specifically. Once again, if you've watched any of my content ever, I am very scattered all over the place, and hopefully that's okay for you. Because hopefully the only point of this video is just to hear someone just chatting for a bit. Maybe somewhat on the topic of something, and something that you understand, which would be great, because then you can just listen, and that would be good. And that's it. Hopefully that's okay. If not, you can always move on to the next video. I am all over the place. I understand, and that's okay. There's plenty of great videos out there. There's plenty of great videos out there. So yeah, you don't have to rock with me, but if you are, I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I love this kit though. This is one of my favourite kits. Probably because of the whole Aguero thing, but yeah. And up to that point, we didn't really have a lot of good moments, barring like hit this, that, or there, one in the derby or something. So it's like, or like Alano's free kick. Remember that from the box right to the top corner, that kind of stuff. Apart from that, look, we went. So yeah, don't come at me for anything, yeah, because I remember a period we had like, it's a burglar now, but I swear we went from like Christmas to the end of the season or something stupid like that, and I was scoring a goal at home, so less of that, yeah. Brought it, this, that, the other. Everyone's brought it. We can get into that. I wouldn't be against researching it properly, putting together. Literally every single club that's been super successful in this country has brought their success one way or another through their ownership. Different ways of doing it, of course, but you only have to look back at it. That's the real history of English football. Is money talks, and always will, always has. Of course, you'll have little bits and bobs here and there, like a Leicester, but that was a super insane anomaly. Super insane anomaly. And even then, it wasn't. Well, they did it for free. They still spent millions of pounds. Obviously, the proportion is different, but like I say, you still have to spend. It's not like you can just come up with a team of players that you brought through the academy, which they like to say about like United's class of '92 or whatever, but even that's somewhat, skewed to suggest that that's actually what happened. They got super lucky with that as well, which is fair play. But the statistical odds of, what was it like? There was at least 3 really, really good players. There was a few more, weren't they? But like 3 that lost goals and that, which were actually top class players. The statistical anomaly again, yeah. To even have one player that's good enough to come through and then be unbelievable. Same with the La Masia. Same with that like selection of players that came through at Barcelona, especially when Pep like brought it all together and when he became Barcelona manager to do like, what was it, like 55 trophies in 3 seasons or whatever. The statistical anomalies for that to even happen is ridiculous. So, plus, like I say, they brought Cantona, they brought who else did they buy? They brought some other players too. I'm trying to. It's a long time ago. But that was always pushing. That's the point of what I'm trying to get at. To be the best, you have to invest, and it is what it is. Like I say, apart from like that, that's the only team that, unless you know better. Maybe back in the day, but even then, I went alive 100 plus years ago when it first started, and there was like Preston won 3 in a row or whatever. But and maybe then money wasn't a thing, but if it wasn't, it's probably because none of them were playing for money. So literally, I could have played in that team and we probably would have won because I am that good. New video on that content. Now I'm joking. Probably not. Maybe. Anyway, let's actually, enough of that. Yeah. I'm so all over the place, but this is the only type of content you can kind of get away with. That is ASMR, because like I say, it's all about the ramble. That's the whole point of these kind of videos, isn't it? You just chatting. I'm decent at that. 2 out of 10 at that. 2 out of 10. Anyway, so we'll just go through alphabetical. After I finish my point. Yeah. So yeah, there'll be those selection after those bottom 3, and maybe you'll throw 1 or 2 into the mix that don't really want to be there. Probably not a United and Spurs this season. I can't see that happening again. Surely not. Somebody that really shouldn't be down there. 2 teams in the same season being down there, that then somehow conspire to play each other in the Europa League final. You can't make that up, to be fair. That's what I'm saying. A lot of weird things happen that, like I said, statistically speaking, that just is so irregular. It's crazy. But yeah, you get all those mid-table teams then that are roughly about the same, and then you'll have the same kind of teams going for the top Champions League places as ever, and we'll see if we get a bonus Champions League place again next season, which will obviously alleviate the pressure for one club, because we'll have, if we get 5 places in England, if we get 5 places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we get 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 Premier League teams get to the Champions League, that'll alleviate the pressure on one team that would have missed out otherwise. Or there's always the way that Spurs got in. You can always go and win the Europa League, which is interesting. Champions League is a whole other debate anyway. But anyway, so we're just going to go through alphabetical, talk about what they've kind of done, what I think, what my opinion is. Remember, this is important. It's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just my opinion. You can agree, you can disagree. That's cool. And I'm open to healthy disagreement or agreement in the comment section. Let me know what you think down below. That will be fine with me. I love a bit of chatter. Obviously, look at me. I've been chatting for like 15 minutes at least. Just absolute waffle, mate. Waffle. So yeah, first is Arsenal, because they're, Arsenal. Will they be the bridesmaid and never the bride again this season? Or is this a season that they actually go and do it? Or is this a season they drop off and maybe go back to when they was even struggling to make top 4 for that run before? Was that? I'm not sure actually. Did Arteta not qualify in his first season? Or did he actually qualify? I'm not sure, I can't remember. It's a bit good. He's been there a while now, Arteta. I feel like, also, how much time do you give him? I know he's done well in the sense of bringing Arsenal into contention, which is important, but there's a point when you have to say, we're not going to get over the line. It's not like he's got credit in the bank like Arsene Wenger used to have. Arsene Wenger was really struggling for a long time to make his team a title challenger, but he had all that credit in the bank from winning, especially the Invincibles, especially that. You probably got unlimited credit after that, so he was never going to be sacked. even though, interestingly, some of their fans were at the time. So, but football fans are fickle, as you're probably aware of. Football fans are super fickle. Like, oh, hey, we don't do it. For example, the Isak thing that's gone on at the minute, Alexander Isak. If he doesn't end up going to Liverpool, the Newcastle fans, especially if he has to score one, and they'll be like, "Oh, we love you, Isak. I knew you didn't want to go," and all this. It's all cope. That's what we do best. That's what football fans do best. We just cope. We cope. We make it up and we cope. Anyway, Arsenal, well, can they do it this season? We'll talk about their business that they've done. So they've lost Jorginho. They've lost Kieran Tierney. Raheem Sterling. Who else they lost? Tomiyasu, which players that not super important to their main team, to their starting 11, but those are the kind of players that when you have something go wrong, those are the ones you ask to step in and make a difference. And so I don't think they've actually made any. If they made a defensive signing to lose Tomiyasu, and they also lost Tavares, but I don't think he was playing much anyway. And they've lost Tierney, but what's that? That kind of leaves their defence a bit light, surely, unless I'm missing somebody that they've got. Unless Calafiori's going to. I can't remember. I didn't really watch too much of Arsenal last season, to be fair, but I can't remember how much he played. Calafiori, apart from the goal he scored against us, the bank, absolutely special. That was the opposite end to where I was sitting in the south stand at the Etihad, and that was the opposite end, so I seen it from kind of behind, and I'm like, wow, that's great. Fair play, to be fair. Just smashed one in the top corner. Who even is this Italian? Is he Italian? He must be Italian. Yeah, he's Italian with his long Italian hair. That wouldn't belong to that. It's not racist. So that's crazy. They brought in Kepa for a goalkeeper backup. Brought in Kepa, Zubamendi. I think it'll be a great signing for them. If it's not a season later, then it probably should have been from Sociedad. Zubamendi could be important, especially Zubamendi and Norgard coming in. That means, because I think they thought Declan Rice was going to be like a hold-in when he first signed. Anyway, I think a lot of fans probably. I don't know, actually, maybe not, but I think a lot of people thought he'd be like a holding midfielder. But he's not really that kind of player, is he? He's more a box to box. He's got those big, long, bloody giraffe legs, and he punches around like Paul Pogba used to, with those legs just chopping around. Which is interesting to me. He's shown how much talent he's actually got for actually attack. Similar to McTominay. McTominay's went Napoli, and he became into an insane baller. But he was always used a lot more defensive by United. And same with Declan Rice. He's always used more defensive, which maybe it's like a needs must thing. They've got plenty of attacking players, the teams that have used him, but not the kind of defensive stability that they need. So maybe it's just a bit like a needs must. But sometimes it's like with Yaya Toure back in the day. If you remember Yaya Toure. Remember Yaya Toure back in the day? Mancini used to play him hold it mid, and then when games weren't going the right way, he'd chuck De Jong on, chuck Nigel De Jong on, the lawnmower, the chopper of Xabi Alonso. He would chuck him on and let Yaya just roam around like I say, pouncing about, looking like he's not interested. And then all of a sudden he'd explode like an absolute menace. Basically, I'm saying Declan Rice to me has got a lot of attacking talent, which doesn't actually get used. Just highlighted by another statistic in anomaly of how do you bang in 2 free kicks that are literally the same against Real Madrid? Craziness. And never even scored a free kick, did he? Up to that point, I'm pretty sure that's right. Don't quote me on. I'll be saying a lot of stuff in this video. If you got to this point, awesome. Thanks for rocking with me and listening. Thanks for rocking with me. But like I say, I'll be chatting a lot of stuff. Don't quote me on all of it. I like to be informed, but I'm not always. I'm not saying everything I'm saying this sounds like a fact is a fact. So, like I say, don't quote me, but I'll try my best to make sure it's correct. In the sense of, I wouldn't say it unless I thought it, but it doesn't mean it's right. I'm pretty sure it's right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I say, thanks if you're at this point of the video already. Thanks for rocking with me. We've not even started the video yet. Anyway. So yeah, I think Zubamendi and Newgard, in Christian Newgard from Brentford, I think they're top signings. I think they're be important to bringing a better balance to that midfield potentially, especially because outside of that, there was just so much. What's the weight of responsibility put onto Ødegaard? Martin Ødegaard was an absolute baller, to be fair, but too much responsibility put on Ødegaard. So I think if they can actually have someone, if they can release Royce even more, then I think that would benefit them in an attacking sense, and then they wouldn't have to worry as much about those defensive responsibilities. I also think Nani. I think Nani Madueke. I think that'd be an interesting signing. The fact that Chelsea would let him go and to someone that they would surely want to be their rival, in the sense of both teams would want to be going for the Premier League title, is interesting. That's those kind of things. Like we've let Jesus go to Arsenal, and who else do we let go? We let someone else go to him as well. I forget that now. But yeah, these things happen now and then. So it's not a case of we. Basically, sometimes that's the best offer you get, and you just have to take it because you need to let something go in the squad. So sometimes it's one of those. It's not a case of this is our preferred option. It's the only option, kind of thing. So it might have been that, but I feel like to let him go means that they don't think he's going to be. We'll get into Chelsea, but the amount of signings they're making is madness. But Madueke, I think, could be an interesting signing. I think he's a good talent, and I think actually, especially with signing Gyökeres as well, yeah. What's his name? Victor Gyökeres. Be interesting. Can he do it in the Premier League? That's always going to be the question. People are always numbers and this, that, the other, but so did Darwin Núñez, and then especially after the Community Shield game when Haaland missed the tap-in, hit the bar, and Núñez scored. There was he's going to rival him, but you only have to look at the stats now that he's left and gone to Al Hilal, right? He's going to Saudi anyway to get that Saudi bag. Yeah, good for him. Saudi bag, the Saudi bag. Yeah, you gotta get it. If Saudi had come sort of me, I'd go play there. They could pay me just what I get paid for my normal job now. I'd go straight away. Get me. I'll play any position: goalkeeper, defence, midfield. I would probably pass out, but I would do it. Hopefully they just stick me up front where I belong, just as played between the posts, and I'll smash you in 20 goals a season. Don't you see? Also, how much hubris and delusion of most men got. Yeah, maybe women too now with the influence, especially in this country, of the lionesses. But how much delusion of men got? I think we all think that we can just stick ourselves in most Premier League teams, especially someone like a team like City that create all the chances, and we'll just back 20 goals. Chances are we're scoring none. We're scoring no goals at all. So that's the funny thing. But Gyökeres, I think he will score. He's clearly talented, but I didn't watch a lot of Sporting. But apart from when they took us apart, but a lot of that hinged on the counter, and also don't play a lot of counter ball apart from when they come up against teams like us, and then they'll play more counter based. So I'm a bit worried when they play us because he's going to get chances and he'll probably take them. Probably also when they play like Liverpool and stuff, and maybe that's important. Maybe that's the most important thing for Arsenal. If they've got someone that's going to bag multiple goals, like six goals in 12 games against the top 6 teams in the league, say that could be the difference between 7 or 8 points. That could be the difference that they've been needing in these last few seasons to actually go on and win it. Although, like I say, who knows? Especially because I swear. Is that right? Last season, we can't count us on last season. They took us apart at the Emirates for the first time in a long time. Our run at the Emirates for a long time was insane, to be fair. I didn't realise how crazy it was until it ended. Till it ended, yeah. The season before last with that deflected. Who scored that? Martinelli. Can't remember who scored the Emirates last season. The season before last, when they beat us 1-0. I can't remember who scored that. I think it was Martinelli or someone like that. They scored like a deflected one, but. Anyway, I think what I'm saying is Madueke, I think, will be good competition for their team. So much so that I think I wouldn't be surprised to see a Madueke, Gyökeres, Saka front three before long, because I don't not rate Martinelli. I think he's decent, but I think the thing that he brings is he's actually a really good finisher most of the time when he gets those kind of, for the amount of chances he gets. Like I say, you have to judge players on what they finish rather than what they don't a lot of the time, because statistically most players miss more chances than they actually convert. So you got to judge players on what they actually take. And when you look at what he takes and scores, I can't remember if he was as consistent last season, but for a while he'd been super consistent, especially at those drive towards the byline just inside the 18-yard box and hit across goal, those kind of goals. From what I recall, anyway. If you're an Arsenal fan and I'm butchering it, I apologise. But I'm just saying, I think Madueke could be a big challenge for that spot at least. Although I'm not sure which. I've seen him play both sides for Chelsea, so I'm not sure which side he actually prefers. I'm not sure which side he prefers. But anyway, we'll see. That's the interesting thing. The interesting questions for Arsenal is, can they get that balance right? Will a lot of think that one of the biggest factors that have been carrying Arsenal in the last few seasons, carrying, but it's their set pieces. Their conversion rate of set pieces has been insane. Is that something? That's the kind of thing though. Sometimes that only lasts for so long before teams cut along and they come up with better plans to counter your plans. So if that goes down, does that mean that, I'm just saying, like, how important is that? And if they lose that might be a big difference maker in their season actually. But yeah, outside of that, I think the biggest thing of all for their season is how well Gyökeres can stay fit and score. If he can stay fit and score, then they're not going to be far off. You'd think, but like I said, I don't know. Also, how long can you go on missing out as a squad and it not break your heart, kind of thing? Does that make sense? I know, like, they're professionals and stuff, but it's going to take a toll eventually. That's why we were so bad last season. We pushed the limit for 4 seasons consistently. We only just got over the line the season before last, just like fine margins. That's what I think. That's the biggest reason we lost the cup final against United. And then then after that last season, the hangover was, diabolical, to be fair. But anyway, we'll move on to Villa. Yeah, who haven't even made any signings yet, and they've also maybe even one of the biggest things of all though, is they've lost a selection of they've lost all those players they had on loan. Rashford, Asensio, Disasi. I don't remember Disasi playing too much, but I know Asensio and Rashford were playing a lot because I was getting a lot of good numbers. They've also released Coutinho. Well, Coutinho's left anyway. He's gone back to Brazil, so good luck to him. Yeah. Who else? I think they've lost a few other ones too. Let's have a look. And they've not really, apart from a few. I think these must have been all free signings because the last I've seen, unless they've been made in the last couple of days. They've also lost Courtney Hall, who was somewhat important. They brought in Ozcan. They brought in Yasin Ozcan, Zepequino Redmond, Marco Bizot, Madu Keba Cisse, and Ivan Gusant. And I'm not gonna lie, apart from Ozcan, who, if it's the one I think it is, he's a bit of a Turkish baller, to be fair, but that's if it's the one. But I think there's a few Ozcans going around, so I'm not sure. But yeah, over than I can see them maybe struggling if they don't get a few players in sooner rather than later. Because, like I say, I think they've also lost Watkins, right? No, not Watkins. I'm thinking of Newcastle have lost Wilson. So basically, they've only got Watkins is maybe the bigger point. They've only got Watkins as their main focal point of the attack now. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if anyone was injured and that's why they had to bring some players in. So maybe they'll have players coming back, but that's also a risk depending on what kind of injuries there were. I'm not really sure, so I'm not gonna speculate on that because I'm not gonna say I actually know because I don't. But yeah, if maybe like Leon Bailey or someone like that was injured last season, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But what are we saying? I'm not sure about Villa, to be fair. I'm really not sure. I can't see them. I think, unless, like I say, I think a lot of the time signings are the most important thing about making signings is actually just to refresh the squad, a bit of like fresh influence onto the team, onto the dressing room. I think that's the most important thing of all. That's why you see teams that are super successful. They have a season where they don't sign anyone, and nothing else has changed, and they just drop off because it's actually really important having players, like I say, just coming to refresh the squad. So they've still got time. They've got like 3 weeks, I think, 3 weeks to make some signings. But the league starts tomorrow. Liverpool play Bournemouth. Pretty sure, right? The champions. They're opening up they're playing the curtain raiser. The curtain raiser against. Pretty sure against Bournemouth. We'll have a look at that in a second. We'll have a look at the first. In about 4 hours' time, when I've finished chatting absolute maca, here, we'll get on to Liverpool then. We'll get into Liverpool. We'll get into the. We'll chat about the season, first set of games. But yeah, I think they need to get some stuff done. I think they need to get some signings done. They've got 3 weeks to do it. I think it's going to be important. Because yeah, they probably need a few in. Like I say, unless like I say, Liam Bailey was injured and that he's coming back or something along those lines, then yeah, they're going to struggle a little. Bournemouth. Let's have a look at Bournemouth. They lost Kirkes, didn't they, to Liverpool, which I think would be. They've lost the whole defence basically. They lost Kirkes, Hussein, and who's the one they just lost as well? They lost somebody else. I can't see him. They lost Kepa as well, who was playing, wasn't he? So that's interesting. Oh, I didn't realise they lost Jaden Anthony as well. He wasn't playing too much, but he was someone they brought on. Like I say, sometimes these little players that you don't really think about, they're not important. Of course, we'll let them go. But they're the kind of player you just chuck on and they'll score a goal or two here or there. And they're the ones that actually get you the points that, especially if you're on luck. Basically, they're the super influential little moments. The whole of football pretty much is about these tiny small margins. And if you can't, and without those tiny small margins, yeah, it's like you're gonna be struggling. And they've not really, from looking at this anyway, that I can see brought anyone too crazy in. They've made some signings, but they've not really brought anybody in too crazy to refresh their squad. So maybe they'll struggle as well. They've been pushing the limit for a while, but as long as they've still got, how'd you say his name? Django. You know, they've still got Django, yeah. You know, that lad. As long as they've still got him, he's quite important to their team. And what's the striker they've got? Brazilian. They're number 9 anyway. I forget his name, but as long as they've got those kind of players that are going to get you goals, they're important. They're probably the most important for their squad. But we'll see how the defence, after being, like I say, obliterated by signings. But so we'll move on to Brentford, yeah. And I think they're gonna, especially because they're on about what's his name, Visser's also being targeted by Newcastle and maybe some other teams. So if they lose him, then I think they're done. I can't see how they don't get. They're not well struggle. I can't see how they don't struggle massively. You can't have lost Ivan Toney and then still found a way to be okay, and then you go and lose a selection of important players from your team then. Although Kelleher's an interesting one, that'd be interesting. But yeah, you can't go and lose Norgard and Buemo, and they lost someone else too, I'm pretty sure. Who else did they lose? Can't see it, but Ben Mead's also been released apparently, and I can't see how he wasn't pretty influential in the dressing room. And those, like I say, those things that go unsung, yeah, that you don't really realise until people talk about it way later after the fact. They're some of the most important things of all in the whole of everything. But yeah, Kelleher's a pretty decent signing. They've brought in Jordan Henderson as well. Interesting. So at least they've still got some kind of squad dressing room type influence. But if they lose Johan Visser, where are their goals coming from? Where are their goals consistently coming from? Because that's what I thought when they lost Tony. I was like, they're not going to score. They're not going to get enough goals to win enough games to get enough points on the board. And then Visser and Buemo cooked. They were cooking. Phrase that, you know, modern phrase. They were cooking, but one, I can't see how that carries on yet. But I don't know. We'll see. A lot of this, like I say, is just me speculating, because we'll never know. These are the kind of little questions that are in my head of like, if they can't solve these issues, that's what's going to be their downfall. But if they can solve them, who knows? The sky's the limit potentially of how well they can do. But anyway, we'll move on to Brighton, which is also interesting. Yeah. So they lost João Pedro, which he was important to them, but it'd be interesting by the look of it how more important he might be to Chelsea. But that's it. We'll get to Chelsea shortly. But who else? They also lost Dingra, but I don't think he was playing too much. So the Evan Ferguson one's interesting. When he first started scoring, when he came to the team, I was like, damn, this lad seems something. That's also interesting. The way like players will burst onto the scene like big meeks, burst onto the scene, yeah, and then fizzle out. It must be so difficult though, when it hits, you get all that. As a young man, it hits you and then boom. Like how you handle it, I think is probably the most important thing. That you've got a good team around you. I think that's why the Bellinghams have done so well. Is because their family are the ones driving a lot of it. They're all the mum and dad are super switched on, and I think that's why both of them have done so well and made the right decisions at the right times. So yeah, shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Bellingham, yeah. But yeah, they lost Evan Ferguson, who's gone Roma, but it's only on loan. But that'd be interesting. I'd be interested to see how well Evan Ferguson does in Roma, at Roma. They've also lost Estupinian, which I'd not seen until I've just read this yet, and his first name's Purvis. What the name? But he's got AC Milan, which would be interesting. But he's quite important to their team, especially when they was playing Estupinian and Caicedo as like fullbacks for that bit of period. Those two were proper like quality. But yeah, from what I can see, nobody jumps out at me in terms of the signings they've made either. So doesn't mean that they're not good signings. It just means that I'm not aware of them, which doesn't mean a lot. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but doesn't mean a lot. Doesn't mean a lot. They're another one though. They'll be interesting. Like I say, where are their goals going to come from now? They've lost some of their goal output. So yeah, they might need to make a few signings over there. Unless, like I say, one of these, like maybe this Sean Keogh from Dundalk, is just some hidden. They are quality at this, so Brentford. So I wouldn't be surprised if him, or more likely someone from like Oliver Boss Cagley, which I don't even know where he plays, what position. I'm not going to lie to you. I do not know. But let's say he's a striker. I wouldn't be surprised if he's an absolute baller, because this is just what they do. Brighton just go out. I don't know if I just butchered that and said Brentford, but I'm pretty sure I might have. But yeah, Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton, the Seagulls. They are quality at just finding just any old random hidden gem, and they're being absolutely insanely good. So I would not be surprised if they've done it again. But also, how long can you keep doing that before your luck runs out, kind of thing? Especially because people are after Belieber as well, isn't they? I think that's how you say it. Belieber. Yeah, you know what I'm on about. They're on about him. That's the funny thing about Brighton, though. They get all this dollar and never actually splash it, which is crazy. Anyway, Burnley just come up. I can't see them not struggling, to be honest. Who have they brought in? Apart from Cort Walker, at least they've got someone important on the thing. But they just lost Trafford. We brought Trafford back to the Etihad. And they've lost Redmond and John Joe Shelby, which would be important. So at least they've got those in. Jaden Anthony, they got him from. Unbelievable, to be fair. They got Marcus Edwards, who is a baller. They brought him from Sportman, English lad. If they can get him working, he might be quite important. But otherwise, I can't see how they don't struggle. It's just the way that it is now. It's just the way that it is. But fair play if they fit. Scott Parker's their manager, I'm pretty sure still. Unless they sacked him yesterday. But this morning. I'm pretty sure. How does he actually like to play these days? He like to try and play possession. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we'll just move on with the idea that if they can get something working, like I say, interesting, they're gonna have to rely on a lot of important tactics. The manager's gonna have to carry them a lot. That's what I'm getting at. Chelsea though, yeah, Chelsea. We'll move on to Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea. They brought in Liam Delap. They brought in Delap, Pedro, Jamie Bino Gittins. Who else? They brought in the Esteval as well. They just got Joel Hatto from Ajax. Is that it? Apparently. Nah, that can't be it. I swear they were splashing more cash than that. So they've addressed the potential most important part of their team that wasn't working as well last season, and that's striker. Although I do rate Nicholas Jackson. He's just super inconsistent, ain't he? but he will hit that one game and he just bags a hat trick. Like, yeah, nice one, Jackson, mate. So they've kind of surely covered that with Pedro and Liam Delap. One of them, between them, surely they're going to score that 25-ish goals that they need from a striker. And we'll see about Jamie Gittins. That could be an interesting signing. But they've also trimmed the fat as well. They've got quite a lot of players out. Even if it's only on loan, like Mark Guy. I don't know how you say his name. Guii. They just get him out. As we talked about Madueke, they've also what's his face? Who was that? Oh, João Felix is gone as well. Was that a loan or did it looks like Alnasser actually brought him, so they probably got some decent money back in for that. So yeah, that'd be interesting. They also transferred out Kane Dewsbury Hall, which is a bit sad for him because, you know, but at least he's not done the Danny Drinkwater and stayed there for the next 10 years. He's took the move, didn't quite work out. He's moved on again. I think that's going to be the most important thing for Chelsea. Can they keep playing the way that they want to play, which they have been playing? Can Cole Palmer keeps putting in the insane numbers that he puts in? Because unfortunately form does dip. So although I think there was a little bit of stuff about last season him not being quite as good, but he was still putting out numbers, weren't it? So I don't know. Sometimes that's when numbers are important, is when you're not playing well. The numbers are more important when you're not playing well, to be fair, than when you are playing well. But yeah, if those two lads that they brought in could contribute enough goals, that could be quite dangerous in terms of a title race this season, in terms of a title challenge. That's what I know. I've not done that. I've not really said that. But yeah, so Arsenal, I can see they're going to be in the top 4 race, surely, at least, if not a title race. Aston Villa, I can't see how they push for the Champions League again unless they make some signings. I can't lie. So mid-table-ish, maybe. Unless, like I say, unless Unai Emery can work his magic and make something real special happen, I can't see it being anything too spectacular for them. But you never know. They've still got, also on all of this, there's 3 weeks after the transfer window, so it only takes 1-2 good signings. Boom, you're back in the hunt for whatever your targets are. Bournemouth might struggle though. Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton. I can't see them having as good a seasons as they have been having unless they make signings. Maybe for so much with one of them, maybe a couple of them being in contention for making the relegation scrap actually interesting. Burnley, I can't see how that. Like I said, I think they'll go back down, but you never know. They're gonna have to make a really couple insane signings before the window shuts, or like I say, the tactics from Scott Parker really have to carry hard. Chelsea, like I say, if they can sort things out, I think they could push for the title race, but definitely in the top hunt for the top 4. You'd think. You never know. Though. Like I say, things happen. The interesting thing is, Enzo Maresca's, I don't think, had a second season anyway yet. So how important is that? There are certain coaches and managers that their stuff works well in the first season, and then it kind of goes off because it's so either too difficult for a lot of players, they're down tools, or they're just not a very likeable person, and you don't want to. A lot of the time, there's in squads these days, there's so much player power that they're just down tools. They don't want to play for that. They know if they're down tools, they'll get a new manager in. They don't have to put up with the circumstances that they're in then, which is right or wrong, but that's the way it works now. So yeah, I think that could be an important little factor. I can't see how it doesn't say it's just consistent to how he kind of is, but it's a question nonetheless that will be answered, and that is, we'll see what happens. For example, like Mourinho, unbelievable manager, made stuff happen, but I think a lot of time he did fall out of people enough that's why the longevity at places wasn't as good as it could have been. To some extent, that he would usually. No, I'm not sure actually. Did he always get sacked? that's another thing though about seconds. I think sometimes they just know, like, especially someone like Mourinho, he deserves to be sacked, in the sense of they only get paid if they get sacked. They get paid out of the contract if they get sacked, kind of thing. If they leave, they don't get paid. So he's got credit in the bank, is what I'm saying. So why wouldn't you have like a mutual sacking? So they want a new manager, he gets paid what he deserves, kind of thing. That makes sense, hopefully. Crystal Palace, FA Cup holders, Community Shield winners. I didn't watch the Community Shield, I'm not going to lie. I was out, unfortunately. I would have watched it otherwise. But I don't think that they've not made any. They have not made any transfers, basically, apart from Walter Benitez, which is he a goalkeeper? Someone jumps in my head that he's the Argentine goalkeeper, but I might be wide of the mark. They've not really made anyone, brought anyone in, and they've lost Joel Ward, Schlupp, Rob Holding, all three players which I assume would be quite important in their dressing room once again. And like I say, sometimes losing those characters is even if they don't play a lot, can be one of the most important things to replace. Is just somebody like I say. I think Jordan Henderson coming into the Brentford squad might be important for their actual overall dressing room in terms of like leadership qualities and stuff like that. But it's just holding stuff together, because every team's going to have a little bad moment, and those are the kind of players that pull you through that, if that makes sense. Those are the kind of players that like say the right thing at the right time. Basically, if that didn't happen, what then comes after wouldn't happen either. But the important thing for them is they've kept Eze, they've kept Everett for now anyway. They've kept they've kept Eze. I was going to say his name, but I'm definitely going to butcher it. I'm going to butcher it. If I say it, I'm going to butcher it. They've kept Eze. They've kept Mateta, and they've kept Adam Wharton for now. For now. So sometimes in those kind of squads, just not losing any of those important players is just as important as signing anybody. Especially when you've just, like them, they've just won something. So it might be the kind of thing they can use to carry through to this season. But I'd be more, if I was anything part of the Palace higher up or a Palace fan, I'd be like, we need to get somebody in at least. Basically, the best time, like Liverpool have kind of showed. But we'll see how that plays out. We'll get into them. They're coming up. Sometimes the most important time to invest is literally when you're on top. Just one. Invest. That's the best time to invest. If you've got a gap, don't let people close it. Push away is the theory, the concept. So yeah, I feel like they're going to need some signings, but at least one good signing, just somebody interested in this, like gets a bit of hype, and then the dressing room's like, oh, I can't believe we signed you. So glad we won the FA Cup. We just signed this lad. Unbelievable. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I can see them struggling, if not. Especially, that's the other thing that I've not really talked about. Teams like this Crystal Palace team now, they're going to have an extra, although I think they've just been demoted, right? I think that came out like yesterday or the day before. They've been demoted, but they've still got European football. And the type of toll that's going to take on a squad like Palace is going to be way bigger than they can probably handle if they don't make some signings. Is what I'm getting at. Anyway, but it depends what you take in it. Do you take winning that European competition and finishing bottom half like Spurs did? I think it's actually more important to win than to finish high. Unless you're going to get into the Champions League or something like that, where you get a lot of money. I think places are important because each place you finish in the Premier League, you get a bit more of the pie for finishing payments. But anyway, let's move on to Everton. Yeah, Everton. They've released quite a lot of players. They've lost Ashley Young, Begovic, Doucouré is the big one that I'm just like, oh, what? But maybe he's getting on now. I'm not sure how old he is, but he's always been really important for when they've needed someone to step up. It tends to be him. They've also lost Holgate, Maupay, who must be incredible banter in the dressing room based on his social medias anyway. But they have brought in Jack Grealish, Keenan Dewsbury Hall, Adam Onsnu from Bayern, which I'm not sure who that is, but the fact they brought him in from Bayern sounds potentially very, 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 very promising. So they made some interesting signings. I think Grealish could be important to their team if he can get playing consistently and get working. Just his ball retention and his foul winning ability, so that then to carry Everton up the pitch. Important question for Everton is this going to be one of the first seasons in a while where they've not had to worry at the end of the season? They've not had to worry one little bit, especially they're at the new stadium now. How's that going? That's another important question for them. How's that going to work out? Is the new stadium? I think West Ham struggled to start with it when they moved from the Berlin ground. But I always butcher how to say that, but you know what I'm on about. West Ham's old stadium, Upton Park, when they left there and went to the new what's it called now? The Olympic Stadium that they've got. I think it took them a while to really feel at home there, which sounds really odd, but it is a thing. And if you can't feel at home, you're not going to play like you're the home team. If that makes sense. So if they have a similar thing, Everton, then if they have a similar thing in their season like they've been having for the last however long now, I can't remember how long this has been going on. It's been a while though where they've been struggling. They might actually, be in a worse position than they have been in previous seasons, especially when their big man, like I say, Decore is not going to be there. Who's going to step up? Who's going to step up? Who's going to step up? If Decore is not there to step up and score on the final day to save you from relegation, who's going to do it? I think Jose Raul could be a good signing though as well. And yeah, other than that, can they get Calvert-Lewin bit and firing again? Who else have they got that could actually impact? Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't see enough goals in their team. I can't see them creating enough. But like I say, unless they can focus more on set pieces, like I say, Jack Grealish, if he can get consistently in the team, he's going to win you plenty of fouls because people just going to smash him up for no reason. So he's going to win you fouls, and if not, he'll be in positions to create stuff. So it's a win-win in that sense. And then, like I say, it's just, can you then do, like I say, have someone like Arsenal, defensive coach, set piece coach rather, who's going to maximise every opportunity you get from a set piece, maximise every single opportunity. If you can then convert, that could be the difference for them between having a comfortable season and not. So yeah, I don't know. I'm worried for them too. To be fair, Fulham, they've lost Carlos Vinicius, Willian, who else they lost, which are somewhat important players, and they've not really brought. They've brought in Lecomte. They brought in Lecomte. No one. That's the only signing they've made, but based on this, so they're going to have like Jimenez. They're basically just going to have to rely on what they've been relying on for the last few seasons to not be in trouble. And like I say, sometimes standing still is the worst thing you can do, and that's what they've done basically at this point. Barring signings and some of these, that's your small caveat. Like I say, if you're at this point in the video, thanks for rocking with me. I appreciate it. Especially because I'm just chatting absolute macca. And unless I don't know, actually, maybe I'm not. But I'll listen to someone chatting this stuff. This is the kind of stuff I chat with people in real life. So people, no one's ever said shut up. Yeah, shut up. No one's ever told me to shut up. So, but you can if you want. You can just scroll off the video if you think I am too much to take. That's very, very fine. It's very fine. But sometimes the worst thing you can do is stand still, and that's what they're doing. Right? Oh, that's what I'm saying. See, like that, scattering. Some of these clubs, we're waiting for this period that's coming up now, when the season starts, the last 3 weeks of the window, because that's sometimes the easiest time to get business done. Because teams are like, oh, we want to make this signing, but we can't make that signing until we get somebody out of our squad. So then stuff just starts moving, basically. Stuff just, for that reason, just starts, and you're getting to the end. You're running out of time, so stuff just, if people have been holding off on stuff, that's the kind of time that you just get it done. Also, the big thing for these kind of clubs, depending on their, especially with, what's it called now, especially with the financial stuff that's going on these days, I feel it's called, but it's all a load of baloney anyway. Teams should be able to spend whatever they want, in my opinion, as long as it's a gift from the ownership or the club. If the owners are investing, as long as it's a gift and not a debt, because that's the important thing. If it's a debt, that means that could ruin the club in the future. They can pull out, and that's your club's in millions of debt. But if it's a gift, that's an investment that's never going to be recalled. Then there's no worry. That means actually just improving the product, in my opinion. Otherwise, just get rid of all transfers, all money. Make football a not-for-profit organisation. Boom. That's the only way you can make it 100% fair in that way. But that's not going to happen either. There's too much money in it, so you can't win. You got to pick one way or the other. You can't be like, oh, we need to be like limited this, that, the other. Because we want, unless you're not on this boat, which is the case, fair enough. But most people want the Premier League to be the best. They want it to be the number one. They want it to be the standout football league in the universe. Now, in the world, the main league in the world, the top league, the league that everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the one, that's the go-to, that's the best. The only way that works is if there's that much money in it. There needs to be insane amount of profit maximisation and money involved for it to even be a question. Anyway, look, that's the other thing for these. I'm trying to think of what it's called, SRP or something. It's not that, but you know what I'm on about. There's these new financial rules and regs that they've got to follow. It might be a case of they can't actually pay for that player until they're literally going to start using him. So just that 1 week's wage, especially if they're planning on making a big signing, that 1 week of wage saved might be super important. It sounds super silly, but that's something that actually happens more than you would realise. So like I say, there's still like 3 weeks left of the window, so there could be a lot of interesting signings going through, getting cracking on with from this point, and we'll see how it plays out. So a lot of, like I say, Fulham right now, they go sign 5-6 important players. Who knows, they could be from challenge for the title. These things happen, not very often, but it just like you just go sign some mad stuff. But like, right now they're going to be struggling, bottom half of the table, if not worse off. You know, some unfortunate injuries here or there. These things happen. Ah, damn! I didn't see this yet. So this is cool. So Leeds, we'll move on to Leeds. Yeah, Leeds. So Leeds have just come up. I think it's going to be a struggle for them, but they have, like, as ever, because it just is the way there. They've brought in some interesting signings. So they've got Sean Longstaff from Newcastle. Obviously, makes sense. He's not really playing as much as he probably wants for Newcastle. But they've brought in Lucas Nemecha, City Academy graduate from Wolfsburg. And I'm going to be super. I'll be looking out to see how he does, because that'd be cool. I would be happy for him to do well. But yeah, outside of that, I can't see who they've. Like I said, it's just such a difficult task now to come up and do anything other than not go straight back down. So good luck to them. The only one that stands out to me at the minute is Sunderland, and even them, I can't see how they don't struggle to not be in the bottom three come the end. Move on to Liverpool, yeah. They've got that Georgia Mamarav, yeah. They've got the goalkeeper, that Georgian goalkeeper from Valencia. They lost Trent, but they brought in Frimpong, another City Academy graduate. I didn't realise until they'd just seen it about the Brentford thing with Kelleher. They've lost Kelleher, so that makes sense. But that makes sense because he's not going to play as much. Great signing there in Florian Wirtz. Top signing. We'll see how he does though in the Premier League. Kirkes could be interesting as well. Obviously Ekatike, but I didn't realise that until you look through these things that they've lost. As good as those signings are, I think there might be, unless they get super fortunate with injuries and Ekatike and Wirtz and etc. hit the ground running, Frimpong and Milos Kirkes as well. Unless they all hit the ground running and they're super influential, and then the most important players in Van Dijk and Salah have unbelievable seasons once again. But times against them, if that makes sense. They're not. I can't see why they couldn't have a great season again next season. But these things come at you fast when you're on the wrong side of 30, and things just happen. You know, unfortunately for these players. So obviously they're both super fit, but like I say, it's not about how fit they are necessarily. It's just like I say, Father Time is undefeated. It will catch them at some point. It's just when. I don't think it'll be next season, but I'm just saying, you never know. Maybe that's also my blue tinted spectacles being like, maybe. So I don't know, but I think they'll both have good seasons. But like I say, you just never know. You never know. Also, that with age comes more susceptibility to injuries, which I don't want to wish on anyone, because like, injuries are horrible. These lads have a short enough career as it is to miss even a month or two here or there, or even worse, you do like Rodri last season and miss the whole season after you, and maybe not even start this season from something like a cruciate ligament type injury, or Harvey Elliott, for example, when he broke his ankle that time. Was it him that broke, or did he break he break his ankle or someone else break? Did he break? Yeah. I think like he lost a lot of time that he might have been playing. They still got Harvey at it. I think I can't remember seeing anything about him going. But yeah, anyway, so I didn't realise, I think they might, what I'm getting at basically is, I think Alexander-Arnold is super important to how they created opportunities, which Frimpong and Kirkes could basically fill that gap, but not in the same way. So we'll see how that plays out. I think they're both good signings, but basically I feel like they're kind of like for like, if that makes sense. I don't think they're, apart from Kirkes, because I'm not 100% sure, I don't think they're much different to Alexander-Arnold in the sense of they're not the best defensively, but they are contributors and creative sense. The other thing I didn't realise though is they've lost Nunes and Luis Diaz. They've lost Nunes and Luis Diaz, and then also obviously Diogo Jota, RIP Jota, RIP. But they've lost all three of those, and they were super important in the sense of giving them so much depth in the attack. And even then, Salah was the one carrying that massively. Without Salah last season, I don't think they win the league. That's how important Salah is. And so we'll see how many Ekitike can score, but his numbers even for Frankfurt Frankfurt. I don't think they were that menacing to suggest that he's going. It's not like Gyökeres' stats at Sporting. I know Portuguese league is lower than Bundesliga and all that, but basically, I'm just saying like his numbers aren't too menacing, too frightening. Obviously, you'd think that he would get more chances in a side like Liverpool's, but you just never know. Point is, that's a lot of goals to find for just basically bringing in Ekitike. Yeah, Ekitike is going to have to carry it very hard. A lot of goals, or Cody Gakpo or something like that's going to have to step up massively. Unless they've got some, I don't know this, so don't. They might have someone really, really important coming through the academy. But Florian Wirtz is going to bring an injection of creativity. But I think that, not to the camera there. Sorry about that. I think the thing that's really important for Liverpool though, which I think they got away with last season, in my opinion. Gravenberch did a good job of it, but I think they won't. Basically, I think they was in a position where you could get away with it, but when you're the champions, everyone wants to beat you. Everybody's going to throw every ounce of everything they've got to beat you next season. Liverpool. So I don't think they're going to get away as much with the lack of steel in their midfield, if that makes sense. So I'm just kind of surprised I've not brought in, unless I'm missing somebody super that's just going to go smash people up, basically. A Roy Keane type player that's just like, I'll just have a bit, yeah? They've not really got anyone, unless they're going to convert somebody. Gravenberch is more attacking to me than he is defensive. He played that quite well, that role, to be fair, but like I say, it's one of those kind of things. I think you need more, and then also, that's the kind of thing that you also, if you have one injury, boom. I'm not going to lie, I really rate McAllister and Szoboszlai. They're good, like, especially like box-to-box type, so they'll help carry the load to a degree. They'll help carry the load, and obviously Van Dijk is a brick wall most of the time, but he did have that run after they won the title the last time where he was super off the boil, and these things happen. Like I say, that's what I was trying to say about like class and stuff. Like class is permanent, but form can dip. And for a player like Van Dijk or Salah, that form dip, as much as they'll probably go back to that status, but that's the thing what I was saying, we've got time. You never know. That one time that dips in the future for them now, that could be it. They might not recover to the same level ever again, unfortunately, because like I say, time just beats us all. I do think they'll be right up there though, barring, like I say, something interesting happening. I can't see how they're not pushing for the title again, which should make it. I think this title race could be interesting this year, because there's teams that could be back up that weren't anywhere near last season, like I don't really want to say it, but like Spurs and United. And then, like I say, I think Chelsea will be closer this year, and I can't see us being as bad in that run that we had. Moving on towards, like I say. Also, the important thing, just saying Liverpool as well. Like I say, I think they'll be well within the hunt. I think it's super hard to retain the title though. That's the only thing I will say. as much as it's not the same retaining it as winning it the first time. I think there's like an influence in the squad of like when you try and win it the first time, as much as it's difficult to get it over the line, the hunger to get it done is way bigger than the hunger to retain it, if that makes sense. And those, like I say, it's all about everything in football at the top level is about small margins, tiny margins, the tiniest of tiny margins. Anyway, let's move on to City. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before I move on to City, if they get Isaac or somebody of that ilk, then basically they've got that goal issue I was just mentioning. I don't think that's a problem at all, is it? But like I say, I will say this about Diaz going to Bayern. That'd be interesting. Diaz, Elise, Kane. We'll see how that plays out. That's a lot of pace and a lot of talent. And the benefit of having Harry Kane is on, but he's at the wrong side of 32, so we'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully, at least till next year, because we need him for the World Cup. But or maybe the blessing in disguise for England's World Cup chances is he gets injured, and we do something completely different, and that's the thing that finally gets us over the line. But that's for another video. If I'm making videos in a year's time, in 11 months' time, when the World Cup's coming around, we'll talk about that then. Anyway, City. Let's move on to City. Hopefully, we'll be in the hunt, but if not, that's the only caveat I'll say about all of this. I don't really mind who wins the title. Whoever wins the Premier League deserves to win the Premier League. That's the beauty of the league. Cups, anyone can win the cup. The best team doesn't always win the cup. Sometimes one of the worst teams in the cup can win the cup. But the best team always wins the league. The only way to win it is to be the best. So whoever wins it deserves it, is what I'm getting at. Whoever wins the league deserves it. So all you can say is, well done to whoever wins it. And of course, I'd like to see us win it again. Just more so for the players in the squad, especially new lads that have came in, or lads that, like I say, you don't get that long to play in football. But like I say, whoever wins it, I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't believe they've won it. I really wish they didn't win it. Because there's no point in that anymore. Like I say, I used to think that way, but there's no point of it. Like I say, hopefully we win it, and if not, whoever wins it, fair play. But yeah, we have had a big loss this season. Kevin De Bruyne's time at City ended. It was quite sad. He did wave at me though. Yeah, I did. He 100% waved at me. The only bit. Yeah. Oh no, he blew me a kick. No, what was it? Let's see. I'll find it. Give me a sec. Okay, so like I say, you'll have to take this with a pinch of salt, because I think this happened, but also I don't really. But someone that goes to football with me, this is where we sit. And this is what happened basically. He did this, but I did that gesture before he did it, and then I went like this to him. I was like something like that. Yeah. There's another clip on, if you know who MCFC lads is. Yeah. He sits behind me, the tier behind. So if you look at his clip and look at the same thing, yeah, just in front of him, that's me going like this before he does it. I could find it, but I'm not sure whereabouts it is. But if you've seen that from his, that's me doing that to him, and he's doing it back. Yeah. In my opinion, like I say, because I'm right next to that camera, and like I say, you can kind of see him. And I also watched it when I got home, yeah. And he didn't do that anywhere else. That's that same gesture, so it's a bit interesting. It's a bit interesting. Maybe mad delusion that he did it to me. But Kevin De Bruyne, best player to play in the Premier League, in my opinion. So that's my opinion. You can disagree. That's fine. It doesn't have to be that we agree on that. But anyway, massively important player that we've lost. I just noticed that we're like over an hour in this video, so I will hurry up and wrap it up a little. I didn't mean for it to be this long, so I apologise. But at the same time, if you wanted a nice hour plus, ramble of just nonsense about football, then you're welcome. We've lost him. We've lost the most important player of all that we've lost, though. Yeah, it's Scott Carson, the man, the myth, the legend. He's won Champions League without playing. Oh, actually, did play in the Champions League with Liverpool when he won it with them. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. He was part of that squad though in 2005. So, and he didn't play in the final. Dudek played right. Is that right? Oh, I can't remember. That's 20 years ago, mate. We brought in James Trafford. Apparently, there's stuff going on today and yesterday and the day before about Donnarumma and Rodrigo, and then I was just seeing something as well about Vinicius. So but I think it's just paper stuff. We'll see. But we've also lost Kyle Walker, which is pretty big to the squad. But outside of that, I think we've made some good signings. Trafford, I think, could be interesting, especially if depends on whether Edison, with this Edison thing, because he was interested, there was apparently interest from some teams in Edison. I wouldn't really want it to go. He's not the best goalkeeper in shot stopping, but there's no one better, in my opinion, when it comes to passing the ball as a goalkeeper. Some of the pictures he paints with that left wand of a foot of his, yeah, for a goalkeeper is ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. Tajani Reinders, yeah, Tajani Reinders, unbelievable player by the look of it, yeah. Ryan Shirky also looks interestingly, unbelievable potential. Same with, I also think Nuri will be interesting to our squad. We've not had a left back since Mendy, basically. So to have someone that can actually overlap properly and play as an actual left back, although he's very attacking as a left back, but we have more possession than most teams pretty much every single game. 99 out of 100 games, if not every single game next season, we will have more possession than the other team by a long margin. So someone that's actually very good attacking is more important than not, especially if you have him and Guardiola on the same team, both attacking and they're just smashing it in and passing it around and just doing crazy stuff. That'd be interesting. I think the biggest thing for us though last season is when you look back, if it wasn't for that incredibly ridiculous period where we didn't win a game for like 2 months, we wasn't actually that far off it. We started pretty well, we finished pretty well. It was just that bit in the middle where it completely fell apart. And even if you look at those games, like I say, I was at a lot of them. So it's like I say, it's easy to see when you're there and you can see it in person. But actually, it sounds ridiculous, but we was actually borderline the better team in a lot of them, and even the stats like show that to a degree. It was just a lot of games where they had we was giving up more chances than usual, which is annoying, and that probably was an important factor in losing those games. But basically, what I'm saying is, if we cut that out, there's key elements which change the way that those games would have went if we can change them, and I think we can change them, if that makes sense. I think Rodri being missing is an important factor. I think players like Phil Foden and these new lads that have come in, Cherky and Reinders, I think if they can contribute the kind of goals from midfield that we need, as well as just play well in general. Like I say, Foden wasn't as anywhere near the same level last season, but injuries played a big part in that, I think. And then hopefully Doku and Savinho can keep improving. Marmouche, I think, is an absolute baller. So that goal he scored, when he just top binned it from 4,000 yards out, insane. That's the end I sit, if you wanted to know. I sit right behind that goal. So I was like, when that went in, smashing everybody up. You want some of this? I'm only joking, but I was. But you can see it actually, I think you might actually better see it in the replay. Especially that one from behind, when it's really panned out. If you look to the right hand side, yeah, to the right hand side of the goal, just right behind the goal, second row, yeah, as you just seen from the video. There's me with my big fat curly head, yeah, just right there, saying thanks for that, yeah, thanks for that, Marmouche, Omar Marmouche, banged it in the top, Benjamins. Anyway, yeah, what I'm getting at is, I think we've got enough goals. We'll have enough goals and enough chances created. The only thing that's important, potentially, but Kev always had a period out injured. Is that going to be as big a miss as it could be? Or will we somehow find a way to replace that creativity that we've lost in losing Kevin De Bruyne? If otherwise that could be the difference between us struggling again. If we can't create chances the same way because Kev's not there, then that could be a difference maker in our season being not very good. Basically, but we've got enough goal scoring ability, and in my opinion, chance creation ability. Then just the important factor is how many. We need to just go back to limiting teams to literally no chances. Four or less is the target. I'm pretty sure every game, pretty much. Because like I say, 3 or less. Because then 3 or less is mainly the target. Because like I say, conversion rate is about 30%, and that's if you're one of the best players. So if you reduce it to 3 chances, 3 decent-ish chances, the chances are they're not going to score then. And even if they do score, it's only 1, and you back yourself. As a team, it's going to get 30-odd chances, 15 to 30 chances in a game. You're backing yourself to score at least 2, if not the 5 that your conversion rate should be pushing towards. You know what I mean? So you're winning more games, and you're winning most of your games. Then, if that makes sense. That's basically the numbers of it, if that makes sense. I've butchered it a little. I'm not a coach or anything. I'm an expert or any of that or a statistical analyst. But you know, that's going to be important to our season, and hopefully for my benefit, because like I say, especially because we've got last game at home again this season. I want to be there and it'd be like, yes, that was good. Thanks so much. My whole year will be very good because of that. You know, if we get to see us lift this in May. But like I say, whoever wins it, I'm good for them. I am happy for them, whoever it is. But I prefer it be us. Then we move on to United. They've lost Christian Eriksen, Johnny Evans, Lindelof, Rashford. I can't believe Rashford's gone. That's crazy to me that he's gone. Why has Barcelona brought him in? Not because he's not good, but I just don't think he's going to have the work rate. Barcelona like to recover the ball fast, and I don't think he's got the work rate to do it. But if he does, he will be an asset to England next summer. That is one thing I will say. I think they've made some great signings, United, to be fair. I think Cunha and Buemo, and now, you know, just literally in the last week or so, Benjamin Sesko, mate. Benjamin Sesko. I think that means their front three is insane. If it can work, that's it. That's a lot of all these things for signings wise. Caveats down to, can you get it to work? In United's history, track record in the last 10 or so years has been terrible for actually pulling off, for getting signings through and actually them performing the way that they would want them to. It's just not a thing anymore for them, unfortunately. The amount of flops, I don't like using that word because I don't think it's right. Like players. It's not like players are not trying their best, in my opinion. A lot of the time, sometimes they aren't. Some of them you can tell that though, but they're trying their best. And you know, I think it's harsh to be like, "Oh, you're a flop, mate." But it's what it is. Anyway, I think they're quality signings, and that'll be an interesting. If Amarin can get them playing well, I think that'll be an interesting side to watch, at least scoring wise. But they've still got some other issues. I think personally, like I think they could do with some. Fernandez is a top player. I think he could do with that the moaning, but other than that, he's unbelievable, talented player. So he'll be, if he plays the same way he's always kind of played. At least he's got players to feed now, so that's good for him. I think they need to get rid of a few players. Same with us actually. Back to City, we need to get rid of a few. To be fair, we've got probably 3 or 4 too many players, and it's too hard to manage. Also, the biggest factor for us personally, for City, is you can never write off Pep. Pep is Pep, and Pep will do what Pep wants. To a degree, like I say, small margins, not as small margins, huge margins. But he's going to do what he wants, and if he can get what he wants to work, it doesn't matter what anyone else wants. He's going to be the one that comes out on top, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think there's some stuff that they need to sort out. But if they can start playing the kind of football that Amarin wants them to play, I think that'll be a fun sort to watch. They'll score. It's just whether they can convert that to enough wins to get enough points to be anything other than just pushing for Champions League places. But that's an improvement, isn't it? So only way is up for them. Them and Spurs from last season, the only way is up, surely. Because if you go any further down, you're going down for real. You're going relegation. Newcastle's the next one. Interesting. Not really made any signings, particularly, apart from Alang. Well, in comparison to what they would probably want. Because like I say, that PSR is what's the phrase I was looking for. PSI has really hit them, I think, hard. They brought in Alanga from Forest, good signing. Ramsdale on loan from Southampton, interesting signing. And then they've just got that Malik Thior, the French lad, I'm pretty sure he's French, from AC Milan, so I think he's centre back. So that's a strengthener. If they lose Isak though, they're in trouble. I can't see how they don't struggle next season if they lose Isak. Especially if they don't. If they even got a striker then. They just lost Wilson as well, right? I'm pretty sure they lost Callum Wilson. He's not on the list. But I'm pretty sure he was gone, because I'm pretty sure he's gone West Ham, right? So where did their goals come from? Byron, obviously, like Gordon and Co, all chipping with a few, but their bulk of goals, they need a striker, basically. Unless they keep Isak and he comes back in and he integrates back into the fold and he plays well. That's another thing though, isn't it? After some kind of saga like this, sometimes it doesn't actually play out the way they'd want. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Basically right now, I can't see Newcastle challenging for the Champions League places like they want. If they would have made the signings I thought they was going to make, I would have put them up there for actually pushing, whether they would have got over the line, but pushing for like a league title, especially because it's crazy how much an influence winning something can have on a team that's only going the one way. But I feel like there's if they lose, especially if they lose Isaac and don't bring anyone, that's like a reverse momentum. But I do think Eddie Howe's a good coach, and I think they've got a good selection of talent. Like I say, Elanga coming into that with this Thor lad. Sorry if I butchered that, but him, Bruno Guimaraes, the conversion of Joelinton to a midfielder, that kind of stuff. I think they've got enough talent in the squad to still have a good season, but I think it's harder than it could be if they lose Isaac, especially if they lose Isaac and don't bring a replacement in. And if they don't bring in any other players from this point now, I think it'd be far harder of a task to actually accomplish getting Champions League places, if not pushing even further for that. And even just being in contention for the title, being in and around it, would be big for Newcastle this season, because I'm pretty sure that's their ownership's goal, is to win the league. And you just need that experience, even if you're only just in it. That experience could be massive for next season if they were to make good signings next season to push on and actually be in the top race properly. Sometimes having just a little bit of a sniff of it, a smell of it, can be the thing that finds you in the season after. Unless there's a man around called Pep Guardiola who just, like I say, finds ways to do it. Which the amount of teams that he's stopped basically, and he had no right to a degree, in the last few years in these Liverpool teams and Arsenal teams is ludicrous. But it's what he does. It's what he does. Nottingham Forest, yeah. Nottingham Forest is next. Like I say, I worry for them too, to be fair. They've kept Gibbs White, which is good, but like I say, they lost Elanga, and I think they lost somebody else important as well. I swear I'd seen that they'd lost, it's not on this list here by the Premier League, but I swear they'd just lost their centre-back, that's quite the big lad. But I'm not sure, don't quite make that, it's not on there, so we'll just go that it isn't. But surely, like I was saying before, as good as Nuno got, the tune that Nuno got out of him last season was unbelievable. I just can't see how you continue that based on the statistics. You can't keep conceding as many chances and giving away as much of the ball and having so little of the ball and creating only a few chances and winning games. Something has to give there, surely. Something has to give. If they keep doing it, fair play. But the fact, I do feel sorry for them that they missed out on Champions League, though. I really, for a long time, especially after I went to that game, Forest away, when they beat us right at the end of the game. Who scored? Was it Hudson-Odoi or something like that? So I can't remember who scored. I was just gutted, but I thought, that's our Champions League race push done for. And that was them done. Actually, pretty much there, but it wasn't. That's not the way it works. Like, things change so rapidly as well in the Premier League. It's not quite the Championship for that kind of like up and down roller coaster of things changing in two to 3 weeks time. But it's not far off, to be fair, especially these days. Crazy things happen in the Premier League. It only takes a few games, and the way that anyone can beat anyone, that's still the thing. So even though there's more of a discrepancy between teams coming up, they can still get results against teams, which is the thing, which is important. Like, Ipswich beat Chelsea right last year. Is that right? They got points against them anyway. Like, those kind of anomalies still happen. You'd be like, oh, nah, surely they've just come up, they wouldn't get a result, but they do get results. I think Forest are going to struggle though if they don't get some signings. Because like I say, you can't keep... Chris Wood's got to be like 400 years old now as well. Unless he's not. He's probably like 29, so he's probably got loads of time left in the tank. But I feel like he was like Burnley years ago. Right? And that feels like it was like a decade ago. So I feel like he must be on the twilight of his career. But apologies to Chris Wood. Chris Wood would score more if he wasn't Chris Wood, yeah. But apologies to Chris Wood if he's not that old. But like I say, you can't keep relying on him to keep scoring as well. And then that is a method that will still serve them well next season. Just the way that they play with the counter. But like I say, statistically, unless they reduce the amount of chances they concede, that kind of way of playing it just against everybody is not going to be something that works out long term. It just can't. Even at the back, that run they went on was what carried them into the top four, and then like I say, that bubble kind of burst because it's so difficult to just keep maintaining that kind of form based on those kind of statistics, based on that kind of style of play. So I do worry for them, but I think they'll be fine in terms of not going down. But I don't know if they'll be having such a crazy season, especially with European football. I think that'll take its toll on them. But next up, Sunderland. Yeah, Sunderland. The Maccoms back in town, which means we get the Time Weir derby here, which would be an absolute laugh. Especially now they've got Xhaka here. That Granite Xhaka against Joelinton and Bruno here is going to be a good laugh. I will look forward to those games. And they've made some crazy signings. They've lost Joe Bellingham, which is a shame. I would have been cool to see one of the Bellinghams in the Premier League once, but not to be. A Dinger from Brighton, I think it'd be interesting. He was absolutely balling at the AFCON when they won it. So if they can get him firing and consistently playing, which I can't see why they can't, he'll be important. I also rate that Masuaku, that they've got from Besiktas. Not so much defensively, but just sometimes you need players as a team that's just come up that's going to create something just interesting, do something different. Because I feel like as a team to stay up, you're going to lose a lot of games. So the actual important games are the ones that you actually get the points in, and having players that can make something happen just from nothing, especially when you've been under the pressure of most of the game, are super important. So someone like that he's an extra body coming, especially if he still plays left back. I assume he still plays left back. If he can, he's the kind of player that, especially because he's sitting there and he doesn't need this kind of protection that other attacking fullbacks need, because he's already got it. They're probably going to play in a low block. So what I'm getting at is that means he's going to be this kind of player that means there's an overload a lot more than there wouldn't be for other teams, and he's the kind of player that can make a difference in that sense. It's just I don't know who they've got as a striker. The only thing, apart from they've just got that Mark Guehi, I don't know how you say his name, from Chelsea on loan, which would be interesting because he actually came on quite a bit for Chelsea whenever I stuck Chelsea's games on, whoever they were playing against. I swear I just got pictures of him coming on more than not. So obviously they rate him, and it's only a loan. So can he find a way to establish himself in the Premier League side, which would be interesting. Other than that, they've splashed out a lot of cash. So, like I said about Forest, that's the thing now. I think they've spent on 10 signings at least. The hard thing though about making so many signings is integrating them quickly and effectively, especially in a season when you've just made a huge step up from the Championship to the Premier League. If you can get that to work, then you'll be laughing. You'll probably find yourself not in a relegation battle, but the chances are it's probably going to take till Christmas at least for that to kick in, then to start playing as a unit. You'd think, just because that's just so much to work quickly and work well, and you've just not got, like I say, the time to do it in. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with them. That'll be interesting. Good luck to them. Yeah. The thing is, like I say, I can't say anything other than I think they'll struggle, but because that's just the way it is. But if there's a team out of the 3 that have come up based on the signings anyway, it's them that should be making a difference. But like I say, it's kind of get it all together quick enough before it's too late. Tottenham, they're in the Champions League because they won the thing, so that might be important to their squad. They've just lost Son. I can't believe they've lost Son. I think he's happy with his career, so that's fine. But to have lost all that time at Spurs, to only have won the Europa League, which is cool, to win something with Spurs is an accomplishment, to be fair. But to only win that, I feel like he's a player that with so much talent and quality that deserve better. And I think even some Spurs fans would agree with that, if that makes sense. But anyway, it is what it is. They've made Matthias Tal from Bayern permanent. They've also brought in Kudus from West Ham, which I think will be a good signing. A really big signing for them, I think, is going to be João Paulinho from Bayern on loan, because he was unbelievable at Fulham, and just someone that's an absolute, smash merchant. That's the kind of player that I was saying. Like, I feel like Liverpool should have signed someone like that in the Liverpool team. Don't even worry about anybody else, especially if they can keep their team fit. No one's even going to get near them, kind of thing. Whereas there is a little question marks here and there in the Liverpool team, in my opinion. Like I just highlighted in our little chat. Outside of that, I think they're looking at Savinho from us, which I don't know. It'd be interesting if Spurs like I was just saying about United. Like, the only way is up for both of them. So just being in the top table is an improvement. Top half of the table is an improvement. Top half of the table and a good Champions League run, where they get out of the league phase will be plenty for their fans, you'd think. So they're a bit fortunate in that sense. That's the only good fortune for such a bad season, is you haven't got the same kind of like expectation the season after, if that makes sense. But they have lost quite a lot of interesting players. Regulon's gone, Timo Werner, Højbjerg, somebody else as well. Yeah, just like I say, Son's a huge loss. Where you got a lot of goals to replace them. Who's going to replace your goals now? Can Solanke actually step up, stay fit, and stay in form? The biggest thing for Spurs though is Thomas Frank. Yeah, I didn't touch on that about Brentford, but Thomas Frank leaving Brentford. That's the biggest thing for their season. I think not having him as well. That was the thing that I forgot about. That's what I was trying to think about. Because sometimes these managers just have a natural ability to get results, and I'll be super interested for Spurs to see how that plays out for Thomas Frank. If he can get them playing the way that he wants with a bigger budget than Brentford and better talent than Brentford, he could do something special with them. That's what I'm saying. So we'll see. Especially with the signings they're making, interesting signings. They've got, like I say, good talent in the squad already. Can Brennan Johnson keep scoring? Maddison, can he actually come? Can he stay fit most of the season? That's the biggest thing for them. And then he'll be hitting a lot more of this kind of thing. He'll be hitting a lot more of that if he can. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we're almost at the end now. Two more to go. We're almost at the end of this absolute convolution. West Ham, yeah? They've lost Cresswell, Fabianski, Sufal, Danny Ings, Carlos Soler, Kurt Zuma, Kudus, like I just said, lost him. They've also lost Mikel Antonio, a big one, which I don't think he played as much last season, but it's a big one to lose to. All those players going out, and you've only brought in... Did they have him already though? Jean-Claire Tabido. I kind of hope he does well, because this is funny. They've got a guy called Al-Hajj Malik Diouf. So the Al-Hajj Diouf throwbacks. They brought in Callum Wilson, which could be an interesting signing. And I think also Kyle Walker-Peters is a good signing for their side. Yeah, their season's just going to come down to do they keep Paquetá to the end of the window? Kudus is a big loss. Can they keep Paquetá? And then can basically what Paquetá, Souček, and was Antonio in it and the like before? But can Callum Wilson? If Callum Wilson come in and go back to what he used to be for like what's his name, Bournemouth, and then for a while at Newcastle, if he can go in and score goals, that'd be huge for West Ham. But outside of that, it's just going to come down to how well they can balance their... I'm pretty sure David Moyes is the manager, right? I'm not butchering that. That's the only thing these days, yeah. I'm just chatting all this chat, yeah. I used to watch literally every single game, be well up to date with everything, but it's just not the same anymore. It's so much more difficult, in my opinion, to... I don't know, life just is what it is. Anyway, Wolves, West Ham, yeah, I can see potentially struggling to be honest. They've got questions around them. Like I say, the fact that they've lost quite a lot of big players and it doesn't look like they've really replaced a lot of it. That's, like I say, that's not even standing still. That's going backwards a bit, and that's the worst thing you can do. Even worse than standing still. So yeah, unless like I say, they could be another one of those that's got this last 3 weeks of the window oiled up to make the signings that they was planning on making. So it could be that kind of case. Wolves, they've lost Sarabia. He's gone. Cunha, obviously, like we just said. They've also lost Oitnori. Who else jumps out? No, really. Oh, Semedo. I didn't realise they lost Semedo as well. Oh, I just seen that the other day as well. They lost Gonzalo Guedes to Sociedad as well. Wolves, they need some signings, surely. That's it. Like I say, it might be that loads of business gets done in this last 3 weeks, especially for these kind of clubs. Just things start ticking over and it sets off like a chain reaction. But I don't really see anyone that they've brought in. John Arias, a lad called David Muller-Wolf, which hopefully is a good player because that's a great name. Jürgen Strand Larsen from Vigo, Celta Vigo, which I think is he like a midfielder, wide midfielder? I can't remember. They've just that's not inspiring, is what I'm saying, is it? It's potentially another step back. That's a lot of talent to lose. A lot of talent to lose and not bring anyone in potentially. Cunha, Sarabia and Aït-Nouri, massive players to lose for their squad. So to not go out and invest would be a mistake in my opinion. But also, I'm not there in charge of their club, so I don't know their finances. I don't know what the manager's plans are, what the plans are for potential players in the academy, etc., etc. So there's always little things, little caveats here and there for all of it. So I don't know, but I think they might struggle. Actually, based on some of this, if certain teams don't make signings, it might give one of the teams that have come up the opportunity to stay up. But if not, the overall thing for sure is this season is going to be fun. There's lots of, like I say, as I've just highlighted, there's a lot of questions about every single team this year. Sometimes there's no question, you just know they're one of the best. They're the best team in the league. That's it. It's done. But yeah, which you could Liverpool are the champions, so you got to give them that kind of credit. But as I showed, there's little questions here and there about them. And then that's the other thing as well. This is just jumping back on Liverpool because I just want to make this point. This is Arne Slot's first proper team of his, if that makes sense. The team that he had last season was based on the bones of Jurgen Klopp's team. He obviously made his own impact on that squad and the way that the team would play and the way they were set up and stuff. But he didn't have the personnel, which was mainly his personnel built onto Jurgen Klopp's side. Did they even make a signing? I think they've just got Chiesa, right? So it was literally all signings that he'd had no influence on, which they had a great talent squad, so it is what it is. If you're a good manager, you can make something work with whatever you've got. And he did. But sometimes things can go wrong when you start trying to put your stamp on it, if that makes sense. Good luck to everyone, though. Good luck to everyone, whoever you support, good luck to you. Hopefully your team does well for you, because, like I say, one of the worst feelings in it, that ruins your whole weekend when you have a bad result. And if you have a bad season, that just can ruin your whole year. So good luck to whoever you are. Like I say, may the best team win. The best team always wins the Premier League. The team that deserves it will always win it. So whoever wins it, they deserve it. As I highlighted, so it doesn't matter who wins it, because the team that wins it will be the one that deserves it most. And you can't say better than that, can you? So it is what it is. Should be an exciting season. I think there's a couple of interesting rule changes coming in as well, which is good. We keep working towards a better overall product, which is the only thing that really matters when it comes to referees and stuff like that. So that's good. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting, fun signings happened. And I think, based on that now, I can't see a lot of these teams not going into the season without making some signings before the window closes. So I think there's a lot of good signings to come. This season's going to be good. I can't see how it isn't. Like I say, I think there's like 6 to 7 teams that could realistically have a sniff at pushing for the title. And then right now, there's 10 teams that could be in the relegation battle. I don't know how they can get their season started, and it only takes like a run, don't it, and things just start falling apart. So we'll see what happens through all of them. And yeah, we'll see see how certain players come in. You can't back against Isaac Seller and Haaland being up there for the golden boot kind of stuff. Is Verts someone that comes in and pushes for the playmaker award straight away, kind of thing, and stuff like that. And we'll see what happens. Will someone do something crazy, have an interesting season? Does Sunderland somehow find a way to win the league? I can't see it, but you never know. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this one. I just thought I'd just have a little chat. I love football. As you can tell, that's why I just chatted about it. Some stuff, good takes, bad takes. We've all got takes. The hardest thing for these kind of things though is this kind of stuff is easy to chat in person, because you can have a back and forth with it then and be like, oh no, this is why I think that, and then it makes more sense. And I feel like you can actually give someone your side, your idea and your train of thought easier that way, if that makes sense. So, but you can't do that over a video, so you're just gonna have to listen to me waffle for however long it's turned out to be. Which, sorry for how long it is. Hopefully it's been enjoyable either way. If you've got any suggestions for a video, let me know down below. Comment section down below. Hit me with your comment ideas for videos, and I'll do my best to do it. Other than that, like I say, every single day, have a great 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 day. So thanks so much for watching. If you got to this point, you're an absolute legend, because this is probably my longest video so far. So, and I've just been chatting, so that'd be interesting. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. For real. Cheers, all the best. God bless. Have a great day. Cheers, all the best. God bless. Goodbye, my friends. Goodbye.